Welcome to What Lies Ahead. I'm your host, Chris Raffini, lead singer of the Long Island band Overthrow. On my podcast, I explore everything related to the hardcore scene through the eyes of artists, promoters, and record labels. As always, please like or subscribe on all social media platforms. For more information and updates, check out our Instagram page at What Lies Ahead _podcast and find us on Facebook by searching What Lies Ahead. Now, on to the show. On this episode is Vinnie, who is the co-founder and longtime drummer of the influential ska punk band Less Than Jake, performing with the group until late 2018. Also, while attending the University of Florida in Gainesville in the early 90s, Vinnie co-founded Fuel By Ramen, helping launch what would become one of the most successful independent labels in alternative music. He also remains deeply involved in preserving punk history and culture as one of the founders of the Punk Rock Museum. Vinnie, thank you so much for coming on. What's going on?
Thanks for having me. I'm currently in Gainesville, Florida. It's just starting to get that like nice humid thickness going, so I'm enjoying it, And
My
I
friends live in Florida, in Orlando, and they told me, I mean, I know it's not Gainesville, but they told me they are feeling the humidity as you're describing.
yeah, and I've been to first. Let me apologize for a couple false starts on this, right? Because of my schedule.
Oh,
No,
good.
I'll say it
Mm.
right because it's been an incredible busy time with the Punk Rock Museum, and we've been trying to lock down a few things for the summer as well as the fall. So. Uh, hitting that like sort of 12 to 16-hour days on the museum. So that's where I've been at. So
Mm.
thank you. And I apologize for the false starts, but I'm in Gainesville and my daughter's off to school and I saw her play her first show playing bass.
Oh, that's
Uh,
awesome.
and it was cool as hell. So I'm
Where
I'm
was that?
it was in Gainesville, just at she went to like a rock camp. So they have you go the week, you write a song with a bunch of people you don't know, and then on at the end of the camp you have a show. And they went up there and they played the song. So it was cool.
That's pretty cool. Probably pretty surreal to see that, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's a very surreal thing because she's 14. When I was 14, I was like, I liked Kiss, and I, had like the Gene Simmons like Halloween mask on my wall, and I, listened to Kiss. I didn't think of necessarily about like playing a show. I had drums, but I was just, I look back and I think I seem like a Neanderthal, like just so like not cultured, not anything, just a suburban kid who liked Kiss and who had a bunch of other friends who liked Kiss, and we would throw rocks at each other and fireworks and and she's so much more cultured and so much cooler than I was at her age, and she played her show, and man, that's righteous.
that's awesome. Now, one more thing. What made her pick up the bass?
You know what? I tried to have her play the drums, and she was
Mhm.
like, kind of, I don't want this. And then she played the guitar a little bit, and then she started to play the bass, and she really likes it, And I told her Carl Alvarez from Descendants, he has a sort of a quippy like sort of statement. It's four strings good, six strings bad. And I was like, this is what it is. And she's like, well, if it's good for Carl Alvarez, he's the GOAT. I was like, yeah, he is. So that's her mantra now.
That's
So
pretty awesome. And hopefully more to come. She's starting at 14 playing in bands and stuff like that, that's pretty exciting and cool to look forward to. Um, so yeah, like honestly, I appreciate having you on here. There's so much to start, talk with, from your book to the coffee shop to the tattoo shop to the punk rock museum. But I guess let's start, from the beginning. You grew up in Jersey. What pulled you towards the punk and hardcore culture at that point in time?
my brother was 4 years older than me, and my mom would work nights and my dad would work nights. So he would go, hey, we're going to go to this place, City Gardens or Close Encounters, right? And go down a few other CBGBs. And he goes, we're going to go see this band called The Knack, We're going to go see the B-52s. We're going to go see a band called the Ramones. Uh, okay, let's go. And he it should have been babysitting me, so to speak, right? But instead, he dragged his underage brother out to go see new wave and punk shows, and I I gravitated to it immediately. You know, there used to be a a public access station in New Jersey called U68, and there was a show called the Uncle Floyd Show, and it was on during dinner time. And I remember eating dinner in front of the TV, and Uncle Floyd comes out and he introduces the Ramones, and it was like a ton of bricks hit me. I was like, I can't. What is this? This is like, it's catchy, but it's fucking weird. Why are these guys dressed weird? This makes no sense, right? And uh, when I saw them for the first time, I was like, this is amazing, you know. And I had mentioned earlier, you know, I liked Kiss. That was my band, right? When I was growing up, I loved Kiss. Oh, this is it. I had the Kiss masks, you know, from Halloween Mask, and I had the Kiss dolls that were, you know, huge. I had all the records. And uh, I started to collect that. I started to like their music. And for me, I kind of lost my mind. I was like, well, you know, what is this and how can I get into it? And it was the Ramones, it was Clash, it was Blondie, it's the B-52s. That was the door that opened that I walked through. And I continued to walk through in different headspaces, but it was the same spirit, right?
Right. Do you remember the first, or maybe not the first show, but that punk hardcore show you went to that really changed everything?
Well, it was Wendia Williams and the Cro-Mags at L'Amour's in Brooklyn.
Oh,
And I went for Wendia Williams because I was kind of like, even my punk, I liked it fast. I like metal still, right? And but when I got in there and I saw the Cro-Mags, I was like, what is this? You know, and that led me down the rabbit hole of Bold, Gorilla Biscuits, Youth of Today, uh, you know, and going in CBGBs for the hardcore matinees. And I was a Bridge and Tunnel kid from New Jersey, right? So uh, it was weird and wild, but here were kids that were maybe a year, 2 years older than me, with straight up a massive scene of their friends, of people who would come down from Connecticut, come over to Long Island, New Jersey, and it was a community and camaraderie that I never knew being a suburban kid, and uh, the Cro-Mags was that gateway
that
to that
got you.
scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and that classic lineup that you got to see, right? So
Yeah, I mean
which
that's
is
the lineup, right?
right. That's the
For me,
lineup,
it is
right?
that's the lineup. No
Right.
disrespect to Harley, obviously, but I
Mhm.
mean John Joseph. Uh, to me, that the voice is the Chromax, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, it was cool to see, and it was cool to, and it is cool to look back and see the puzzle pieces that kind of led me to where I am now.
Now, while you're going to shows, when did drums come in the picture for you in terms of playing them? You just hopped
Well,
on and played, or something that was an interest for you always?
well, you know, I'll give you the headspace of this. You know, I told you my brother is 4 years older than me, and he decided that he wanted to play guitar.
Hmm.
And he looks at me and goes, "What do you want to play?" I go, "I want to play guitar." And he goes, "Fuck, no, you can't. Like you can't play guitar. You have to play something else." And I go, "Oh, fuck it. Like I'll play drum, whatever, you know." And that moment led me to so many awesome things. But uh, I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the drummer's drummer, right?
Mhm.
I never was, you know. I'm a punk drummer, you know, and sloppy and intense and feeling like you're going so fast that like at any point in time it could crumble, right? And I was always okay with that, right? And some folks, uh, without getting too far off, right? But I, a friend of mine said, "Oh, there's a Facebook group about punk drummers," and they were saying how fucking terrible of a drummer you were. And I was like, that's not fair, really, right? Like, because it's easy to go, oh, God, here is Travis Barker, this whomever who influenced so many drummers, and the actual game of punk rock music, drumming up to another level, right? Or Brooks Wackerman or whatever. I never aspired to be a great drummer.
Right.
I aspired to be a punk rocker who happened to play drums but who liked and loved poetry and books more than I liked the drums. And
Hmm.
that was my thing. Like I liked writing songs. I liked writing lyrics to songs. I liked the work ethic of being in a band, and that's what I did. It's not about for me. It's not about the drums. I would have been happy, like I just said. I would have been happy playing guitar, play bass. I would have been happy singing. Drums were a means to an end because my brother played guitar, and he didn't want me to play anything that remotely resembled the guitar. So the drums.
Right, the drums. So because I obviously wrote a lot of the lyrics back in the day for Less Than Jake. Now, how did you do that back? Like, there's a lot of ways. I'm just like with his album, tour cycle, record album. Like, did you follow that, or did you always have lyrics in mind for things, and then when the music was written, you kind of like how did that work out with that writing process? You give them out, or you already had the kind of cadence and idea of how to go over everything?
Well, here's the thing, right? It's go back to one of my main influences, right? And that would be Aaron Elliott from he did Comet Bus. He was
Hmm.
in Shrine as well as Pinhead Gunpowder, right? He wrote the lyrics for Shrine. He wrote the lyrics for Pinhead Gunpowder. He did this thing called Comet Bus that had really good, like, sort of travel writing and things in it. And it set really the stage for me to go, well, drummers can do more than drum, right? Like, and this is the dude who's proving it. They were on Lookout Records, and dude was doing all the things that I wanted to do. So I was like, that's the blueprint. So let me go do it. But to answer your question, like this was before cell phones, this was before like a personal computer or anything like that. I would have a pen with me and I would think of something, oh, this inspired me. I would write it down, whether it was two words, could be a title, could be a set, a lyrics to a song or a chorus. I would write it down and I would fold it up and I would put it in my sock
Mm.
because if I couldn't put it in my pockets
You don't want to
because,
lose it. Yeah.
well, no, I would sweat through it playing a show, right? And then I couldn't read it. So I would put it in my sock and I would collect these. And at the end of the tour, I would have, this a paper bag or whatever bag, of a manila envelope of just hundreds of
Wow.
scraps of paper. And when it was time to start writing songs, I'd be like, oh, I thought about this, and it should be this song called, it's a made up word called glumble, right? It's sort of like this sad, humble sort of like feeling. Oh, then let's write a song called Glumble, and here's the lyrics. And Chris, at the time, we lived together, so we would just constantly sort of riff back and forth. He always had a guitar in his hand, and I always had lyrics at the ready, and that became the way Less Than Jake worked.
Nice. And it did, obviously, with all the songs and the were catchy too, And I know I started going, I remember I started around 94 going to shows, 95, and then I remember hearing Hello Rock You in 97, and then you're going back to everything else that you guys released. And remember just super catchy right off the bat. Like everything. Just great punk rock. And then you guys had the ska vibe to it, which was so cool, now when you guys were together, when you guys were starting the band, was it A, something like that's what you wanted to do? And B, was it something when you started this band, this was something that was first started as fun, or no, we're doing this, we're going on tour, we want to do all these things?
It was just fun,
Hmm.
it was something fun to do. But we always took it seriously. Me and Chris, we took it serious. You know, we had a kind of a plan that want to do more, to play shows, to play out of town. That was like, playing out of Gainesville was like playing on the fucking dark side of the moon. Like it was so out of reach, right? Because it wasn't, the internet or anything. Like I would literally have to get a magazine that mentioned the club or have a friend that lived somewhere. I would have to call them on my landline in hopes they would pick up or call me
Mm.
back to find out any information about a club or a scene or something. And again, like I look back and go, like, how did anyone get anything done, man? Like it was nutty, right? So playing out of town, that was the biggest win for Less Than Jake. We were gigging at the Hardback in town, and we were doing backyard shows, and we were doing other smaller clubs. And then when we had a show offer out of nowhere in Daytona Beach, that was like winning the fucking lottery, right?
Yes.
I was like, oh fuck, like we can't believe it, and uh, it was just super cool, man. And I think back on it a lot, right? And how stars align and how the generosity of other people who believed in the band, right? Oh, like you should come back here. I know a friend that I want you to introduce you to, and you could get a show. You could open up for this band, and it was the generosity of other people that really helped Less Than Jake in the early days, right? And it was an unwavering work ethic from me and Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you remember some favorite tours you went on at that time? Like
You
that
know,
really stuck out as stuff that kind of changed a lot, that you feel for you as a
Well,
band.
it was, sort of the groundwork for meeting some bands to go, oh, this is not only the level of songwriting was beyond what Less Than Jake was doing. So it gave us, sort of that idea that we could write better songs and we could be better musicians and things like that. We went up the East Coast and we were playing like crazy, just weird places, man, like Elks Lodge and stuff like
Mm.
that. It wasn't in clubs. It was in these like kind of some dude's barn that we would play Elks Lodge, Moose Lodge, whatever it was. Uh, and we played with Lifetime
Mm.
and seeing them and going, oh fuck, like great lyrics, great stage presence, just complete like musicians, right? Like just ruled. Weston was another band where
Oh
you're
yeah.
like,
Mm.
oh fuck, like you mean the song that's crafted, that's melodic, that's emotional. Oh fuck, like why we could do this? Like at first we were sort of aping this moment of Screeching Weasel and Op Ivy and of Snuff from the UK, of Doughboys from Canada. We were aping that a lot, uh, but you start to play with like a bigwig from New Jersey, right? And you go, monster players. Oh fuck, like that's crazy, right? Weston, Lifetime, like these are the bands that you started to come in contact with, that Less Than Jake started to come in contact with, that I went, oh, like we have lots of work to do,
Mm.
and we put the work in after that. When you start to tour, it gives you your worldview opens up
Mm.
exponentially, right? And you start to go, oh, the world doesn't end at the city limit sign, right? Uh, it continually morphs and grows and has scenes that overlap each other. It's uh, go into Gainesville, sister city is Richmond, Virginia, right? So Richmond, Virginia, when we got up there, it was like we were playing to brothers and sisters, right? Like, and they embraced us. It was crazy. So uh, I don't know. I find that uh, travel helped craft like what Less Than Jake became a
Hmm.
lot.
Yeah. And you guys love to tour, right?
We
You
toured a lot. We toured a
toured
lot, man.
toured a lot. You toured a lot, and you played a lot. And that's where, one of the things is, so it's drums, playing in the band, you're touring, lyrics, writing lyrics, part of the music. Where did that? Because there's so many boxes to check to discuss here. So like there's Fuel by Ramen, right? And where that came around. Obviously, there's the coffee shop, there's the tattoo shop. We're going to absolutely talk about Punk Rock Museum. Um, where did that almost business sense kind of come in? Because to start a label, it's like you're a kid, you're starting a label, you're younger, you want to do it, you co-founded it with someone, but was that idea always like, I want to do this, I want to start this, I want to try this, or it was almost as if like you were with friends, you were talking to someone, you were in Gainesville, you're in school, and the conversation kind of sparked starting, let's talk about Fuel by Ramen.
Whew.
Mm.
So I'll give you this that the reason that I left Port Charlotte and moved up to Gainesville, right? Chris was here going to college, right? But at the same time, I was introduced to No Idea magazine. Var, who was writing the magazine, he was the editor. There was a 7 inch that would get pushed into the magazine, and sometimes it would be only Gainesville bands, Muttley Chicks, the Doldrums. Sometimes it would be a band like Crimshrine, and that's where I was introduced to the East Bay scene. And again, like I had mentioned, that blueprint of a drummer who could write lyrics, who could do writing and design and things like that. But with that said, I knew that when I came up to Gainesville, I introduced myself to VAR. I volunteered at No Idea, putting like magazines of bullshit together, right? And I went to VAR. I go, I want to put out records. He goes, oh no, putting out records is bullshit. You don't want to deal with bands and you don't want to deal with whatever. And he was kind of right-ish, right? But it was something that I wanted to do. I saw a dude that I know doing it, right? No idea, like just uh, not saying that they were going to do it, but literally out of nothing turned into something, turned into a community of people who were the No Idea folks, right? That put on shows that weren't tons of bands. That like those are all cool things. And uh, so seeing Var be able to do it, and then simultaneously uh, being on tour a lot and seeing bands, right? And going, we're in uh, Austin, and we play with a band called the Impossibles. And I go, oh my God, this is amazing. And I go, hey, do you guys have any music out? Well, here's a demo cassette. Yeah, all right, cool. And play it. I remember I drove overnight. It was from Detroit to Cleveland. And I remember everybody was asleep. I had the Impossibles demo, and I everybody, I was like, hey, I need another tape to listen to. This is a demo. And everyone's asleep. No one could give me a tape. And I listened to that demo like 6 hours, like constantly just 6 hours of the Impossibles demo. And after that ride, I was like, this is the best band. Like, this is like weird combination of ska and Weezer and the Rentals. I was like, this is it. And I, run into bands like Slapstick and Bigwig and Supermarket All Stars, Blue Meanies, and Apocalypse Hoboken. And you go, what do you guys have out? Oh, it's this tape, or it's just like weird whatever. Maybe a 7 inch if you're lucky, right? And I thought to myself, I go, all these bands are so rad. Why wouldn't I be able to put something out like VAR does it? I could do this. So that's it was just the need and the want to show people what I've been finding and what I started to love, like these bands in these corners. And I had mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. When you're touring, it at that time opened up my worldview exponentially. Every day would be new food, new book, new art, new bands, new everything. And it wasn't, and I hate to say it because I don't mean it to be in a way of like condescending, but it wasn't, I'm looking at a cell phone, I could dial up something and look at something new and something fresh, and here's a new band. It wasn't anything like that, right? Like what it is now. It was coming into town and having a paper map going, we don't know where the club is in St. Louis. You can't look up a address in a gigantic paper map because it doesn't get into that minutia, right? So we would go, oh, we're going into, there was a college in town, we would drive towards the college. We would get out and look around, talk to people, maybe go in a record store and ask questions, and then be like, oh, dude, like, you have to go all the way across town to get to the club. Or, hey, by the way, the club's 2 blocks down. You were like super close, right? Uh, so having that worldview like just explode, I wanted to show people like, oh, the Impossibles, you have to listen to the Impossibles. That passion of, I must show you this. And it put together. And that was Fuel by Ramen was born because I was making records and paying for records to be pressed while only eating 10 for $1 ramen noodles. I would forego any food except for ramen because I was putting every dollar that I had uh, into building a label.
Yeah, I love that. I love the name of that label. It's awesome. How many releases would you say? I think was it 2006 when you moved on from it that you would you say you put out?
Think 24,
It's a lot.
something around there, something in the 20s.
It's a lot. And a different time back then, right? That was different from streaming. It was records, CDs, distribution, all that. But that stuff still exists today, but not like back then.
Yeah, it's something. Here's the thing. It's like there was a walled garden, right? And you had to scale this wall to get to the point of like distribution and being able to understand the marketing of it at the time and things like that. Uh, and and if you could figure out how to scale that wall, was beautiful inside, right? It's a lush garden of awesome things, right? And now it's completely the opposite, where it's easier for distribution, streaming digitally, right? But you have to bat away all this static because constantly being uploaded and pushed in your face is uh, music and bands and songs that never were vetted, that's not vetted. Me and you right now could go, okay, dude, I'm going to go and I'm going to record drums. I'm going to send you some guitar chords. You could play the guitar uh, from different states. We could write and record a song. I could send it to a mixer, and by tomorrow afternoon, we could have it uploaded to Bandcamp. CD Baby could have it into digital distribution, and now make that every genre of music, every dude who just learned to play a guitar is wanting to be heard, and rightfully they should be heard. But there's so much static that it takes uh, a true something truly special to rise above the static. But the distribution, fuck, it's no walled garden anymore. It's the gates are wide open. You can get it anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But making people hear it is a different story. Where before, if you could figure the distribution out, then such a great chance for people to hear it because that distribution was so uh, discreet. It only let certain amount of bands, labels, things into that ecosystem.
So I wanted to ask one thing going back, distribution back. late 90s, early 2000s when you were when you co-founded Fuel by Ramen. Did you with distribution? That was just like you said. You what you were talking about before was just straight up networking. Like that's how it happened with finding distributors and for each release or obviously the band helped as well. But like it sounded like you were doing a lot of networking, which you had to do back then.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was that, but that was part of it, right? Again, it's now I would look to go, oh, this band plays in Orlando and they're a ska punk band. Okay, let me hit an email or hit their social media and talk about here's a song and let me introduce myself. Like that networking is so easy, but in the past, that networking was a friend of a friend. And luckily, if you were calling from a payphone into the ether, you were lucky that someone picked up and could go, "Oh, I could help you with a show. Let me book it for you." You know,
Hmm.
and so I'm not. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It's that there was nothing special, right? Nothing.
Hmm.
Uh, it was tenacity, hard work.
Yeah.
It was a healthy dose of luck, and on with the conduit of people being extremely generous with their time, their knowledge, to help us be a band.
Hmm.
And I like Rick Rubin a lot, right? And I listened to him on a podcast, and he was explaining this sort of thing he believes in, which is this sort of everything creative is this sort of in the ether above you, and then being able to you have to train yourself to be an antenna to pick up the creativeness, the inspiration, the whatever. And I think that without getting too much like a hippie or a lunatic, I think that myself and Chris early on, we trained ourselves to be the best fucking antennas,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and it helped in ways that I could never put into two words now.
Hmm. And it's amazing what the label was then and what it is now, what it's built into. It's incredible. Day to remember, and it really it's built Fallout Boy. I mean, there's so much for it,
Yeah.
which is pretty amazing. And that's
But
almost like what we're talking about. It's like 20 years ago now
yeah,
moved,
we
right?
could do an episode just of stories on early Fuel by Ramen,
Hmm.
and uh, there was a lot of crazy stuff, right? Because at a certain point, you start to generate this sort of machine, and it starts to have this its own pull, right?
Yeah.
And when people recognize that, and mind you, I'm not fucking Christopher Columbus in my antenna bullshit, right? There's plenty of other dudes that have better antennas than I could ever have, right? And when they start to see that momentum start to happen, all of a sudden everybody's glomming on. I have a band. I have this. Why can't I have this? Uh, and it starts again. You have this like layers of static that you have to try to pull yourself out of, and understand that the thing for Less Than Jake. Before I go into Feel By, the thing for Less Than Jake is we never believed our own. Like we never believed people's bullshit. Right? We never
Hmm.
believed our own bullshit. We just were dudes who wrote songs, who were humble, who took one step at a time, and we're lucky doing it, right? And later on, of course, we honed our craft, and Chris and Raj got better at singing and better players and better songwriters, and it went from being a hobby to being a career, and then it went from being a career into being the cornerstone of your adult life,
Hmm.
right? So uh, it's wild, man. Like it to look back on it, it's wild with Less Than Jake, because we never, when Capitol Records came to sign us or Asian Man Records came to sign us, and Warner Brothers came to sign us, it was kind of like we kind of laughed it off, like and to makes. I remember him having a Chris to make. How come we look like fucking like gas station attendants with our fucking like cut off shorts and our dirty shirts and dirty sneakers? I'm like, but that's who we are. Like an authenticness of who we are. We're kind of fucking creative rednecks, punkers,
Mhm.
like weird, just from Florida, right? Like, and
Yeah.
that's who we were, and that's what people gravitated to, and that's we were our most authentic selves uh, that we could be. And when people came calling, let's sign, let's sign you to Capitol Records. We made uh, the guy who signed us. His name was Craig. We made him wear a wig to go into the president's of Capitol Records office to explain the less than like who Less Than Jake was and why he wanted to sign it. Like we made him into a fucking clown with his colleagues to sign it, and that made us fucking howl. Like look at this. This is fucking stupid, right? And it was again like we were great at sort of picking up the energy and sort of being able to ride it. We had hard work and it was rad, and we were a healthy dose of luck as well. And I took that momentum of Less Than Jake and the things that were going on at the time, and I pushed it into Fuel by Ramen. And
Mhm.
early on was, the Impossibles, which got back together now, right? But the Impossibles, Animal Chin, right, which was another ska punk band, and Beretta from Richmond, which fucking phenomenal band, right? Bigwig, Apocalypse Hoboken, and these were the first like sort of wave of Fuel by bands that were not what it became, but it became at the moment was just a yearbook of who we were running into on tour.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's when I think of Less Than Jake, mid to late 90s, or even up until now, it's like you naturally, like you talked about it. Look, you're gonna have a band that long, you're going to progress. And you guys did progress musically, lyrically, all of that, right? Sonically. But you always kept that punk rock ska ethos all the time. It was always there. It didn't matter. I know there was Fat, Capital, all these different labels, Pure Noise. It didn't matter. Like you always had that punk rock ethos. And even from that story you just told about with the wig, which is hilarious, that you always kept that up. And I think that is what connected you with your fan base.
It was a blessing and a curse, right? Because when we wanted to, let's say, within in with the out crowd, right, which was a very fucking weird record anyway for us, but when we wanted to step outside the box and write something different, because we had been so genuine and authentic before, that people were calling fucking bullshit on it, specifically on that record, but if if you look at that record then and then you go back and you look at that record now, uh, some great songs and some that interconnective tissue on that record of like melody and lyrics and just songwriting prowess. Uh, it's there's some of my favorite Less Than Jake songs on that, and there's some sleepers on there that are, should have been people's favorite songs. Uh,
Mhm.
maybe it was a tad bit overproduced and that vibe, but hey, that's you live and you learn. Records are just snapshots of who a band is at that certain point in time, and that's it.
Mhm. Well, you said something that made me think here, and there's a lot of songs here, but what are some of your like most proudest Less Than Jake songs?
Ah,
It's a big catalog, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Last hour of the
mhm,
last day of work is a big one for me. Uh, all my best friends are metalheads.
that's a
Uh,
great song. Yeah.
Suburban Myth, which
Mhm.
was the first lyrically was the first time that I kind of like was able to like tell the story and flip the script on lyrics and it feel like it was a complete thought. Uh, Rest of My Life on In With the Out Crowd, Escape from the A-Bomb House on Anthem, Look What Happened, uh, Gainesville Rock City. There's so dude, there's so
It's great.
many.
Great. You just named a bunch of songs to be complete. That's a set list right there. Like, which
Yeah,
is so
it could
awesome.
be.
You know, it's so cool.
And there's still more, there's still
Yeah.
a lot more, but it's there's no favorite record. There's not even really a favorite song. It's just uh, when my daughter, I caught her listening to Less Than Jake, and this is a new thing because
Oh,
she really never did before. I caught her listening to it, and it was Motown Never Sounded So Good, and I hadn't thought about that song in a really long time, and I kind of didn't recognize it for the first maybe like 10 seconds. I was like, oh, that's Jake, like there it is. And I just listened to it from down the hall and I was like, fuck, man, like this song's just hit the right way, right? And maybe if you asked me a month from now, or if you asked me a few months ago, it wouldn't hit that hard, but fuck, it hit so hard in the moment. I was like, oh, great song.
yeah. Have you caught her yet playing bass to any of your Less Than Jake songs? Old school songs.
Roger's too good of a bass player. There's no way that she's up to that point yet. Maybe one day.
One day, one day. Hey,
Maybe
that's
one day.
great. She's starting young, and that's the way it should be. So, I guess we'll shift now to the Punk Rock Museum. And how did I guess start with how did the idea start? Were you approached by it? Was this something you thought of creatively? How did this come about?
So I get a call from Fat Mike, and he goes, "Hey, uh, I want to do a Las Vegas punk shop." His plan was to move to Las Vegas, and he wanted to do like a record shop that has like studded belts and hair dye and everything like that. Like a cooler version of like a Hot Topic, right? Uh, but not like a Hot Topic at all. But you know what I mean, like a
Mhm,
lifestyle
mhm.
place. And Mike, from us being on Fat and touring, doing shows with No Effects and being friends, he knows that I have a penchant for like merch and weird shit, right? So he's like, Vinny, like, do you want to like kind of work on it and do whatever? I was like, yeah, fuck, that sounds great, right? And I had stopped being in Less Than Jake, and like I was like, fuck, I have other stuff, right? Like I have a tattoo shop and I have like other stuff, right? And uh, so I wasn't planning on any of that, and uh, he goes, so are you interested? I go, yeah, cool. So I hadn't heard from him maybe, a week or two, I don't know, 2 weeks. He called back and he goes, hey, Vinny, like, remember I talked to you about the Las Vegas punk shop? I go, yeah, yeah, yeah. He goes, forget all of that. Like, I want to do the punk rock museum. And I go, okay. And he goes, are you into that? I go, yeah, fuck yeah. And there was five of us that started to work on it. And within 2 weeks, we were a fully functioning business. But dude, I've never done a museum. I've never even fucking worked at a museum. I've never done anything except for walk through a museum, right? Uh, and to understand, it's like uh, artifacts care and uh, Nevada tax law and like things like that. I was like, this is blowing my mind right now because it went from sort of this thing, dust, into a formed idea, and then it was shot out of the cannon. And uh, did we do things perfect? No. Did we do things passionately? Always. Did we, everybody that was involved, like comb through their Rolodex and ask people, do you have anything that we could, borrow or loan, or you could donate it? And uh, it was a cool and exciting time, but it took probably about 2 years before of forming, before it went like, oh shit, like Mike, called and was like, I was looking at these other properties, but I came across this basically a antique mall,
Mm.
right? And uh, he walked in and he was like, dude, this is like these hallways that meander into nothing and all this 2 floors and all this. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. And before you know it, it's like, hey, we're going to buy this building. And hey, we're going to get investors. And hey, we're going to do X and Y and Z. And uh, it was it was crazy because I don't know construction. I don't know the laws of new construction in Nevada, and you have
I'm
to.
sure you do now.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you do, but uh, the idea was always solid, still solid. The passion for doing it and preserving punk rock history is always there. The idea of it being in Vegas makes it equally an attraction as it does a educational vehicle, right? So each move proves a delicate of how you land it, right? So it's been complicated and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, and it sounds like the minute after that second phone call, you went 100 miles per hour with it, but it took time, right? Because you had to find a place. But where does then you all are sitting, you're talking about of okay, we're gonna have a punk rock museum. What are we gonna cover?
Well,
Like,
we always
did someone get like, hey, you take care of the Cali punk scene from the 80s? Did it work that way? Like where you broke up regions and areas, like, hey, you're gonna do the 80s CB scene, CBGB scene. Just making it
kind
up, like of places to go look for things, you know?
kind of right.
Hmm.
There were some people that just knew people more. You had Lisa Brownlee who lived in Manhattan who knew a whole bunch of folks. It's uh, was deep into to Ramon's world and had some inroads with that but also was the tour manager for Warped Tour, so she knew a lot of younger bands too. Mike, obviously, with Fat Records, knew a bunch of bands. Me with Fuel By knew a bunch of bands as well. So we just tapped into the people that we know, right? And then there was a whole layer of people that we had no idea, but we did know that we had to. Uh, it just wasn't, hey, here's the 70s and 80s, and that was the punk scene, and that's the punk rock museum. It was important to be able to do 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, right? And be able to kind of show, because it's cool in the sense of, 70s and 80s and a little bit of 90s too was like very tribal, right? Chicago scene was the Chicago scene. Boston scene was a Boston scene. New York City scene, and that tribalism is what made bands big and scenes huge. And later in the 2000s, with the internet and with cell phones and with things like that, the tribalism really mattered much, much, much less, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and there was a moment, well, as the tribalism of cities started to fade, that sort of tribalism of record labels, right? Here's Fat Records scene, Epitaph scene, Lookout Records scene, Bridge Nine scene, and Sympathy for the Record Industry scene, and like uh, it started to become a new form of this tribalism that was spearheaded by labels, right?
Hmm.
Labels, funded magazines and helped break, clubs and helped, pull bands from local all the way up, right? So labels really they did that vehicle, and then later, as labels faded away. I mean, I would think that most people don't even know if you ask somebody what label's Turnstile on, they'd
Mm.
be like, I don't know, and I don't fucking care. I like Turnstile, right? And before though, if you said, well, what label is Pennywise on? They're fucking
Right.
they're on Epitaph. What do you mean? Like
That's true.
that's what it is. You know what label is, X Y Z. Fuck. Of course they're on this. Now it doesn't fucking matter. And it's funny because signing to a major label at one point, we had to less than Jake had to defend them ourselves, right? To people. Why would you do this? Why not stay independent? And why uh now it doesn't matter the fluidity of how you release music and who is helping you with distribution or being your bank for touring and for recording, whatever that case is. uh no one gives a fuck.
Hmm.
No one cares who's doing it. They care about what your band does and the quality of songs, how you are live, how present you are and reachable you are uh, online. Uh, People care about and knowledge. The knowledge that people can kind of carry from your social media you couldn't pay for that to happen in the 2000s, man. Like the early 2000s, you'd have to spend a truckload of money for people to know your band, know your face, know your song. All that shit's for free now on uh, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever.
It is. That's so true. It is so true how different it is. Like a lot of bands now, you wouldn't be like the label is just is kind of an afterthought of what the band is on because there's so much access to all these. What
It's a
a
it's a
question about go
the
ahead, sorry.
label the label's a vehicle. No one gives a fuck about the vehicle. That it matters everything else.
That's right. That's right. So with the Punk Rock Museum, are these the stuff that you get? So when you opened it up and you have it sounds like the different areas and sections. Were there adjustments that you made as you went? Like you saw things that maybe this isn't. I don't know if not working is the right word, but maybe we shift and do it this way. Maybe we put it upstairs, like with those kind of things that change when you since you've opened Punk Rock Museum in terms of the layout, the flow of it. Obviously, the way I'm talking about it, I haven't been there yet, and I plan on going down to Vegas soon. And when I do, I'm absolutely going there. So that's I was just wondering, like that piece of it when you first opened it to where you are now, in terms of any adjustments internally that you made.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'll give you this, and the Punk Rock Museum is like any small business, right? It's you live it and you learn it, right? And if
Mhm.
you're ignorant and you live it and you don't learn from it, then it's a painful and most definitely expensive lesson when there's
Mhm.
12,000 square feet of building that you have to
Wow.
manage, right? Uh, so with that said, uh, yeah, of course, man. There's modifications and nudges and perfect, perfect planned. Like, oh, this is amazing, you know. Uh, and sometimes you go, fuck, like we fucked that up so bad. And that just is what it is, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Then you live, you learn, right? And then you adjust,
Yeah.
right? What so some of the stuff that you have in there, do you guys own it? Is it loaned? Is it loaned for like 5 months? I don't know, I'm just making up, stuff.
There's a lot of it that's loan. That's a 3 to 5 year loan, right?
Yeah.
There's some stuff that's donated, so that becomes part of the museum permanent collection.
No.
There's some things that we, uh, you know, just went, hey, here's someone's collection, and they want to show it. You know, Brian Ray Turcott being one of them, big collector. Brian Gorsinger, another big collector that has part of their collection inside the museum. So there's plenty of ways that something can wind up in the punk rock museum.
Okay. Are there something without, I guess, naming like something you really want that's been difficult to get? I'm sure there's a lot of different things. Like, there's so many probably different things and artifacts. That's what's so cool about this that you could put. I mean, it could be opportunities are almost endless with it.
The thing that I want that uh, we can't get, I don't know why, anything from Jawbreaker. And we've
Mm.
got contacted the band and just lukewarm response on asking for it. So Jawbreaker, I would love to have in the museum. We had Tim Armstrong's Operation Ivy guitar. That was my
Cool.
favorite, one of my favorite pieces. You know,
Mm.
he the loan was up, so he has it back now. But having it was awesome. Joe Strummer lyrics, Joe Strummer guitar. I mean, uh, funnier, Joe Strummer's Last Bag of Weed.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
uh, it's stuff like that, man. Like, uh,
It's all different stuff too. That's what's so cool about it.
yeah, I mean, if you go upstairs, there's AFI, Bowling for Soup, Linda Linda's, Scowl. And I've said it before, and there might be people who are listening to this who listen to me say this before and roll their eyes, but I'll say it again here. Uh, the story of punk rock, has a finite beginning, right? Depending on who you talk to, but there is a finite beginning, right? But the story, there's no ending. It continues, right? The museum is a living museum. There's no end, right? So
True.
having the Linda Lindas and having Scowl and bands like that are people like, what the fuck did Scowl do to wind up in the punk rock museum? uh, at a point in time, they were all encompassing that wave and that sort of magnetism, that they were sort of pushing forward. They do belong in there. And the point being is that the story of punk rock is still being written, right? So you have to always go, oh, this is cool ass band. They should be there. Yeah, Surfboard, being a band. Oh, they should be here. But just as much as a band like uh, Simple Plan, right? And
Mhm.
people are like, Simple Plan, fucking pop bands, bullshit. Uh, but fuck, they were in Reset and they were in a van and they slugged it out just like everybody else. They
Right.
became popular via radio, but they were a punk band. They still are a fucking punk band, but
Mhm.
uh, just different definitions, right? Different decades is different definitions for what punk is and what punk is not.
Mhm. Couple more questions about this. One is, what are some things, because it sounds like all of you are constantly, I don't know if changing is the right word, but you're coming up with new ideas always with this, right?
Mm.
What are some new things, and you may not even be able to discuss it, but some things that you guys have been thinking about in terms of incorporating within the museum that you haven't been able to do yet or haven't done yet.
Well, I'll go with one that we just put up that's open. We have the crossover exhibit. So there was a moment in time where punk kind of meshed with metal, and it was faster and angrier than both when it was combined. Accused, DRI,
Mhm.
COC, and it took cues from Motorhead and mixed them with hardcore that was happening at the moment, and the that for me is where I kind of dropped in after my brother and all of that sort of New York, New Jersey vibe, that scene. The thing for me was finding DRI, finding COC, finding the accused, and the metalhead in me and the punker that I was beginning to find out about. That scratched the itches on both sides, right? And it was great. So the crossover exhibit we just had a few weeks ago open, and it was awesome. Uh,
That's really
we
cool, actually.
we we do have the idea, and if you're saying, oh, what do you want to do in this sort of like high arc, sort of add more of a narrative about the story of punk rock, so anyone that comes off the street you can sort of grab hold of it and understand it. Where now you have to be a punker, or at least in the shadow of a punker, to kind of get a full grasp of the museum, right? Uh, so the more narrative and more sort of video, more uh, sort of tactile exhibitions, right? So, and just use technology to the fullest.
Mhm.
Uh, that costs a fuckload of money, which we
Can
do
imagine.
not have at the moment. But if you're asking what the high arc ask, that would be it.
That'll be it. That's so it sounds cool. And it sounds like you will get there. Just from
Hopefully,
everything you've done, like over the years here. One last thing. Where do you store all this stuff when it's time for it to go? I mean, is there a
we
storage facility you have? I mean, you have so much
yeah
square foot, but where is this?
we have an offsite warehouse.
That must be packed with stuff. I mean,
It has stuff in it. There's no doubt, man. It's funny because at a certain point in time, you go, we just don't need it anymore. And if it's on loan, then it's not up, then it's just becoming we're a storage space. And so we've been lately really trying to not just have it for no reason.
right. Okay. That makes sense. Because I can imagine what that storage facility is like. It's probably very sacred with the stuff that's in there, though, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a mess.
That's Vinny, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. Anything you want to end with before I sign us off here?
You know, the only thing the only thing that I would add is that, like, with anything, man, like, you could talk about doing a lot of stuff, right? But it's the people who just do it. And sometimes they don't plan it and they do it and it comes out half-assed, but they learn those lessons and they keep on doing it. And that's so much better than someone who never decides to pull the trigger on it and talks about doing it but never does it. And I've always tried to live my life personally and professionally like on just pull the trigger, just do it, just move forward, just keep on continuing. Sometimes that works in my favor and sometimes that blows up in my face. But uh, living by saying yes and by doing is a whole lot better than the opposite of that, which is waiting and over planning and being scared, right? And living in fear. Uh, if anyone sort of like makes it to the end and hears me rattling about bullshit, right? It's that, dude. I go back to the beginning of what we were talking about. Like, it's a fucking Neanderthal, right? Like, no cell phone, no fucking nothing. Like, cut off blue jeans, bleach stained Vans, fucking cut off sleeveless COC shirt, stupid mohawk, shaved sides, right? And ponytail sometimes, stupid hat from New Orleans. Uh, but I just said yes and I just did it and one step at a time. And I took one step and moved forward and was confident in doing it. And it worked sometimes and I learned lessons other times. And anyone that's listening to that, there's nothing special, man, but just luck when work ethic and being able to be your authentic self. And if you could do those things, even now when technology is blindingly fast and you can go to chat GBT and make a fucking logo and all that, it still takes ideas and it still takes work ethic. There's no magic wand. It's hard work or nothing.
Mhm.
That's
Not,
it.
and you did do it, and that's what's awesome. And there's more to come. That's what's cool. So that's what's cool about it. But Vinny, again, thank you so much. I'll just hang tight here. I'll sign us off, and then we'll chat up when we're done.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the What Lies Ahead podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms. Go save the What Lies Ahead podcast playlist on Spotify that features all bands that were on the show. For more information on future episodes, you can go to my Instagram account and follow at What Lies Ahead _ podcast and on Facebook by searching What Lies Ahead podcast. See you on the next episode.